Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is December 17. Work is finally starting to slow down for Christmas, so I thought now might be a nice time to make, I think, my third try now of trying to get my YouTube channel back up and running. I have just felt, ever since that slump in like August, I have felt so unmotivated in reading, in life, in work, in filming, everything. But now I'm determined to turn that around, get things moving again before the new year begins, and we're gonna start that with some fun Christmas cheer. And so this vlog is going to be super chill. I'm not gonna set a time frame on it. I'm not gonna say it needs to be done by the end of today. It's not gonna be done by the end of next week. I don't know. It's just gonna be however long feels right. Because tonight I am going to do some Christmas market touring around London with a friend, starting off going to Humble Crumble, which is this amazing apple crumble place that does like really cool things with the apple crumble. And then we're gonna go to Hayes Galleria and see the Christmas markets there. But obviously this is a bookish channel, so maybe what you're more interested in right now is what I'm gonna be reading. And for me, it's gonna be A Little Bang by, I think it's Kelly McCoffrin. I got this book as an ARC at Yalk, so it comes out in January 2024. And when they were talking about this to me, I thought it sounded absolutely incredible. It's set in Belfast in 2018 and it follows these two teenagers, Sid and Mel. Sid is a bit of a bad boy, bit of a recluse, bit of a slacker, doesn't really see the point in trying in school. And Mel is your sort of token good girl. These two teens strike up a romance on New Year's Eve, they fall in love, they fall into bed with each other, only for a couple weeks later, Mel to find out that she's pregnant. I mean, the tagline for this story is amazing. It's a bittersweet Northern Irish romance that takes a new look at teen pregnancy and a young woman's right to choose her own future. So before I get into my thoughts on the book so far, I do want to put out a massive content warning for conversations around teen pregnancy, around abortion, because they are definitely very prevalent topics in this book. I am just about 80 pages into this book so far, and the first thing that I noticed very early on is that the chapters themselves are very long, but in each chapter it constantly swaps back and forth between the two POVs of our two main characters. It makes the whole story feel a little bit chaotic, but in a really good way, because you really feel like you're in the immediacy of the mind of a young sort of teenager just going through a crazy experience. Mel and Sid's romance is full of like question marks and they like insecurities, and they're just trying to impress each other and they're hoping their friends don't like make the other person not like them anymore. And it's so sweet and it's so immature, but then obviously they're dealing with something that is so mature, so it's watching that conflict in their mind as they're trying to like deal with what they're going through, which does happen in the first like 60 pages of the story, so it really does kick off. Add to that a religious element as well. I believe Mel's family in this story is really quite religious, and so they are very against things like abortion, and so she's feeling the mass amounts of pressure because she doesn't know how she's going to deal with this situation, and she feels like the options that are available to her are significantly limited because of what her family believes in. You know, she has that added stress of like, if I don't have this child, then my family's going to disown me. It is simultaneously incredibly intense in the themes that it's dealing with, but also so beautiful and giggle-inducing in the way that these two characters interact, their romance. It's honestly, I'm having an awesome time so far. So yeah, I'm 78 pages in. It's only about 200, almost 300 pages in length. So I'm looking forward to hopefully finishing this really quickly. I've got about half an hour before I've got to go, so I'm gonna get some reading done. And then I will bring you along with me to go and see some Christmas markets.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs.
Back in the same spot 2 days later, and I have a reading update for you at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's been a good morning so far. It's actually been really good, which is unexpected because usually in the morning I'm not awake until like 9 AM, but got up at 5:45, went to the gym, sang along to some Taylor Swift while I was in the gym because it was completely empty. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna sing and run, and it sounded bad, but man, I got my energy up and the endorphins like really pumping. Got home, sang along to some more Taylor Swift while I was getting ready. It's been a Taylor Swift kind of morning, and I gotta say, that woman knows how to make a bop that really just like has you grooving, because I've been grooving all morning. It's been great. Anyway, it is now like 7 a.m. before I start work, and I have a reading update for you right as my camera starts to run out of battery, which is that I finished Little Bang by Kelly McCoffrin and I gave it 5 stars. I think this book is incredible. I think it's poignant, bittersweet, heartbreaking, amazing. I love the way that the author plays with the structure, I guess, of the story and switching back and forth between the POVs for these two characters, especially in particularly tense moments. She'll have like a line in one character's POV, a line in the other character's POV, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it keeps the tension so high whilst also making you feel like you're in both of these people's heads at the same time as they're reacting to this conversation that they're having with each other. Obviously, all the conversations around abortion, around motherhood, around teen pregnancy were incredibly difficult to sort of read and understand because it's not something I've ever gone through myself, but it felt so poignant because it felt so real. You could see all of this playing out. You could see all of these conversations being had behind closed doors while all this vote was going on about whether or not to legalize abortion in the Irish Republic, I think it is, but this is set in Northern Ireland. Honestly, this book was amazing. I felt like I got to know the characters so well. They were beautiful and immature and sort of so insecure in their teenage selves, but then also dealing with so many very, very difficult things that made them seem very mature. It was an absolute whirlwind. And I would recommend this to anyone who wants to read this and is obviously able to read about the topics that it discusses. That is that book. I finished it, gave it 5 stars, and I immediately picked up Infamous by Lex Croucher. This is the second book that I've read by this author, and I think the second book that she published as well is Infamous, and there's one more book called Gwen and I Are Not in Love. I think she's just got 3 published books, and this one it's interesting. It's Regency era. It follows these 2 girls. One of them is Eddie, who is an aspiring writer, and she has a best friend whose name is Rose, who's always kind of done everything she's supposed to. She very much fits into society, and I guess they're at a point in their lives where their lives are veering off on very, very different tracks. Eddie is more going down the poet and writers and going against society and rebelling, whereas Rose is looking ahead to her future, marriage, children, all that kind of thing. And at the moment, it's just dealing with the conflict of that between the 2 of them, but I think there's a sapphic romance in here. This book starts off with a scene of these 2 girls practicing kissing, and there's constant mentions throughout the story of these 2 girls having feelings for each other. So I'm thinking there's going to be a sapphic romance element in here. So far, it's fun, it's interesting, it's a bit playful, but I wouldn't say that I'm particularly intrigued by it. This book and Gwen and I Are Not in Love, they're the last 2 books that I own by this author, and they're probably where I'm going to stop buying from this author because I think it's unfair to read an author's work when the writing just kind of doesn't gel with me. But so far, it's interesting, it's okay, it's looking like a sort of 3-star read at the moment. That is my reading update for the morning, hoping to keep it super, super quick so I can get to work and finish talking before my camera runs out of battery. So I will see you a little bit later with another update. Hello, hello. You are currently sitting on top of a pile of books, and I'm using my computer and my desktop screen as my lighting because DIY is where it's at today. I have just finished reading Infamous by Lex Croucher, and I gave this book 3 stars. As I kind of expected, I enjoyed the book, don't get me wrong, it was fun, but I don't think Lex Croucher's the author for me. I kind of got lost in the middle of the story, and I find it really, really hard to get involved and invested in the story because I don't really find her characters particularly likable or in-depth. So like the main character Edith, I thought she was irritating, and then the sort of 2 other predominant characters, I guess, Rose and Nash, didn't really feel like they had much personality outside of their sort of archetype, which was like the villain or the love interest. I thought the romance was sweet, but I didn't particularly think it was very well fleshed out. It relied on a sort of historical relationship between the 2 characters, and I don't love how this is the second book now that I've read from this author that has fallen back on the main character experiencing something very traumatic before any kind of development happens. I don't love that. And I don't think that if that continues, I'm going to continue reading her books. But yeah, don't get me wrong, it was a fun read. The writing was entertaining. It's not exactly of its time in terms of the way it's written, but I don't think it's supposed to be. It's kind of looking at these historical situations and putting them in modern language in a little bit, so it's a bit more fun, it's a bit more carefree. And I did enjoy the way the sort of sapphic romance was explored, in that, you know, there was the confusion around coming to terms with your sexuality and learning more about who you are, as well as the pressures externally about, you know, what the rules are in terms of relationships of the time. So I liked how that was explored as well, and I thought that that was interesting and done in a light and sexy kind of way. 3 stars, didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. So that is book number 2. I think I'm gonna pop another book into this vlog if you guys don't mind sticking around for a little bit longer. And the way that I've been picking my books lately is with this lovely jar, because I have discovered that I am the worst at picking up or figuring out what I want to be reading next. And what I end up doing is just going onto Kindle Unlimited and reading something on there, or just looking up recommendations and buying a book. And I need to stop doing that. I need to read the books that I actually own. And in this jar is the name of every single book that I currently own, as at I think 1 or 2 months ago. There have been a few books bought since then which need to be added to this jar, and I will do that at some point. I gotta print off all the paper again and rip it up and everything like that. But basically, part of a spoiler, I guess, for a future video, one of my goals for this year is to get the amount of paper in this jar from up here down to this line here. And that's not gonna happen if I don't start doing it now. So let's take the little lid thingy out, which is just like a little cork ball. I love it. I love these jars. I just got them off a guy from Vinted, and it was, you know, best purchase I've ever made. But anyway, I do shake this up, pour it out, mix it up and everything, put it back in every time I add new stuff. So it's just not the newest stuff at the top all the time. I do actually put some old stuff and make sure like it's all shaken up. So knowing me though, this will end up being one where I pick something that I bought like 2 days ago and you guys won't believe me. So let's, oh, I dropped one on the floor. Let's get this book, whatever this is. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I'm gonna look that up, how to pronounce that at some point. But We Hunt the Flame, that is the next book that I'm gonna be reading. Hopefully when I showed you that on my camera, you actually got to see that. That's what's next, so I'm gonna go pick that up, find out what that's about, and I'll give you a quick bio of it. Okay, I just went and grabbed this from my bookshelves. Love the reflective cover. It's really tripping out my camera and the fact that I'm using my computer for lighting, but it says on the front, people lived because she killed, people died because he lived. Interesting. Let's read the back, find out what it's about. Zafira is the hunter. Forced to disguise herself as a man, she risks everything to provide for her people. Nasir is the Prince of Death, a feared assassin who is forever bound to the command of his father, the Sultan. Both are legends in their kingdom, but neither wants to be. And when Zafira embarks on a dangerous quest to return magic to their suffering land, Nasir is sent on a similar mission. But as their journey unfolds, an ancient evil begins to stir. Sounds interesting, sounds YA, sounds potentially sort of a bit of romancy, which I love in my books. I'm gonna get started on this and I'll give you my thoughts in a little bit.
Sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all
Morning. It is, oh my god, what day is it? It's Wednesday, and I don't really have much to update you on. It's been a Taylor Swift morning again this morning in the gym while I'm getting ready. Literally, I just pushed pause on Antihero to come in and update you because I'm back in my Taylor Swift era, which is, I'm super late to because she's literally just finished her Eras tour. Like the minute the Eras tour finished, I was like, you know what I haven't listened to in a really long time? Taylor Swift. And now I'm listening to all of it and really sad that I never made it to the Eras tour. So I'm gonna watch the Amazon Prime version of it, I think, that you can see like the whole show on there, I think. That's beside the point. I'm here to update you on We Hunt the Flame. Again, I'm using my computer as lighting, so it's reflective and we don't like it. But I am 38 pages in, so I really don't have much to say other than I think it's really, really good. I was going through the read yesterday afternoon when I was trying to read, and I was kind of lagging. I was like, I don't know why I'm not liking this. Like, I don't know what's going on. This is usually the sort of thing I'd enjoy. And then I went to bed last night, like hit pause on everything, went to bed early, woke up this morning, and I was like, you know what I really want to do right now? Read We Hunt the Flame. I'm really intrigued, actually. And I think it's because yesterday afternoon I'd done so much, or yesterday evening, I'd done so much reading to get Infamous, like, finished, and I didn't really love it, so I wasn't really super excited to pick up another thing. But now I'm super excited to read more. At the moment, it's been back and forth POVs between the two main characters, Nasir and Zafira. Zafira's POV is really interesting. She's a hunter. She's clearly got assassins after her. She lives in this city or in this world where women are persecuted for even attempting to do like man things, or like jobs that are considered like manly jobs. So I think there was a woman who was trying to run her own business, and it was completely taken away from her, and she was forced into like an arranged marriage to kind of control the women. But it's interesting because like the 6 gods, or the 6 godlike figures in this world, they're all women. Anyway, so you've got Zafira, who is dressing up as a man in order to be a hunter. Everybody thinks she is a man. She is the hunter so that she can feed her family. And then the other guy is the prince, not only like the Prince of Death, but he's literally the prince, like he's the sultan's son, and he is an assassin, and he goes and kills people. And at the point in the book that I'm up to, people have just failed, like 2 assassins that the sultan sent have just failed to kill the hunter, so Nasir is being sent in, and I'm assuming that's how these two are going to meet, and sparks will fly from there. Already Zafira is kind of like, I don't fall in love, I don't believe in that shit, and Nasir is like, I don't have time, and people always die around me, so no point. So I think it's very much going to be a like reluctant and also enemies to lover kind of situation. But yeah, I'm still really, really early in this book, like 38 pages, so I have next to nothing to say. I just wanted to come in here, say hello, let you know that I'm having a bit of a Taylor Swift party. It's been a great time, and I am going to be cracking back into reading on my lunch break today and in the evening. For now though, drink my coffee, get some work done, and pray for me, because I am spiraling into Taylor Swift right now. I'm beginning to think these computers are my favorite lighting. It's like the best lighting I get in this flat, so let's just go with it. Admittedly, I have not done a ton of reading over the last couple of days, because despite the fact that I am, oh, that's upside down, I am really enjoying this book. I got addicted to a TV show. It's called 911. It's like an American like drama show, obviously, because it's called 911. It's about these firefighters and these cops and these paramedics, and it's just so tense and dramatic and crazy that I have been binging it for the last few days, and I'm already up to season 3. Mind you though, the first season was very short in terms of number of episodes, so not quite a crazy person, but admittedly I was up till about 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday watching this show when I should have been reading. As for We Hunt the Flame, I am 160 pages in, so I'm officially up to part 2, or act 2, which is called A Long Way From Home. It is absolutely enthralling, hooking. Like I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I'm currently enjoying it. It's still going back and forth between those 2 POVs, but it's not like one chapter either side anymore. It's like very much in terms of the flow and the pace of the story. Like that's when you get swaps and everything. They're starting their sort of adventure side of things. The band is all like heading to the island that they're supposed to head to, called like Shah or something. They're learning about the background of the magic and how it disappeared. There's hints being dropped about their own potential magical abilities, and there's hints being dropped about these 6 like goddess like figures and potentially what happened to them. And it's just, the whole thing is so interesting. There's like, I think there's gonna be like an unrequited love situation happening in here, if the real romance is between the 2 characters that I think it's between. And there is very much a comedic character that the person that this comedic character is paired up with like genuinely hates them, but I think they're amazing. I think they're so funny. I think they're not trying to be anyone's best friend, you know, they're just an all-around good time. And then you've got the other pairing, which is a little bit more intense, which I think is where the unrequited love aspect is gonna come in. Anyway, I am really, really enjoying this book. I want to keep the update really short because I gotta crack straight into work. It is just before 8:30 and that's when I start work. I need to go and do that and resist the urge to watch my TV show, but it is my last day of work before the Christmas break. Today is Thursday, the 21st of December. I then am off from the 22nd all the way through until like the 3rd of January. So I've got heaps and heaps of time to finish this book. This is probably going to be the last book in this vlog because I have a bunch of other like Sarah J Maas related books that I want to be reading. I'm gonna get to work, I'm gonna read this on my lunch break, or I'm gonna watch 911 on my lunch break. We'll see what happens. 911's getting really interesting right now, so that's what I'm thinking I want to do. The episode that I've just watched, someone's just graduated from high school and it said she's the graduating class of 2020, and the first thing to pop into my mind, I can't click, the first thing to pop into my mind when that happened was they're gonna go into the pandemic. It's gonna happen. And I don't know how I feel about that. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm gonna get to work because it's now bang on 8:30, so I need to get some stuff done. I'll see you in a bit. Hey, it is way after this video started, and I'm finally here to update you with my final update of my first Beat the Backlog vlog. I decided, I think midway through this video, that that's what I was going to call this vlog series, and hopefully it does continue as a series. We are here with an update of my final thoughts on We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I gave this book 3 stars. I know I started this book really loving it, but I think this book began to feel really long for me because of how long it took me to read it, and because of the fact that by the end of the story, everything that had been led up to throughout the beginning was really stretched out and elongated, and I began to lose a bit of interest. But I'm just gonna read you my review on Goodreads because I summed it up and I'm feeling lazy today. It says, unfortunately, the byproduct of taking ages to read this book is that my interest started to wane as the days went on. I was absolutely hooked on the read at the very beginning and read the first 241 pages in an absolute flurry. But then life got busy and I just couldn't wait to put this book down and move on to the next. Don't get me wrong, I think it was an incredibly interesting story that was paced super well and unveiled its twists and surprises in such a way that had me speedily turning pages. But I also think that it got confusing towards the end with all the new layers being introduced. It also felt like it would randomly skip through moments and conversations, so I'd have to go back and reread sections in order to figure out what had just happened to get me from A to B. I really enjoyed the main cast of characters, especially Altair, because of the comic relief he provided in the plot. Zafira and Nasir were complex and flawed, and I really enjoyed seeing the small romantic plot that unfurled between them. So all in all, it was a 3-star, but that confusion that kind of started from 241 pages and kept going through to the end of the book did really impact my enjoyment because I began to really lose track of what was going on, and it just really pushed out and elongated these moments by the end that I think could have been a lot shorter, and I think it tried to put too many twists and turns in there at the end as well. But anyway, I don't want to slam on this book because I did really enjoy it. Those first 241 pages were so speedy, so amazing. I think this was a great first book in this series, and I am looking forward to reading the next one, which I can't remember the name of. And I know this author has another book coming out called The Tempest of Tea, which is for fans of Six of Crows, and that sounds like something I'd really love, so I'm probably going to pick up that too. Anyway, this is the end of my very first Beat the Backlog vlog. Do come and chat to me in the comments down below. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've read in this vlog, or just what you're reading at the moment, loving it, hating it, all that kind of thing. Come and chat to me in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys, and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell all down below. It's a super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!